Hey guys, I'm Sai and welcome to A.C.E Podcast Nation, the home of the Andy Campbell Football Show. This is episode number 128. The show is available live on YouTube, Facebook and Twitter. A.C.E Podcast Nation, of course, you're home to many other great shows and series featuring top guests, expert analysts and more. So please do give us a follow on social media, subscribe to that YouTube channel, click the bell for notifications every time we go live or we release new content and shows. And if you want to keep it purely football, then you can follow at A.C.E Footy Show on all social media platforms, and that'll streamline your experience. And of course, if you prefer your podcasts in audio format, every show we do, we release to all your favourite radio podcast platforms. Pretty much everyone you can think of. Just search A.C.E Podcast Nation and there is over 400 shows there for your listening, with all types of guests and celebrities and all sorts of different people, doctors, you name it, we've probably had them on. But just as we wait for those various platforms to fill up a little bit, a big thank you to Black Diamond Sports as ever for all their support around the show. Black Diamond Sports is a global sports agency representing sports stars from around the world. For more information, you can visit their social media pages or their website, links to which are in the description below this video, or indeed at the end of the closing credits at the end of the show. And today's sponsor, Bespoke Financial, and Dan Ralston of Bespoke Financial giving away a free will at the moment worth £140 with every new policy which is taken out. So please check him out, give him a call, and don't miss out on what is an incredible offer. He's looked after Andy for various policies over the years, including the critical illness and the injury cover. They are truly top of their field and provide award-winning service, and we are very proud to partner with such a top-class brand, and we thank them for sponsoring, should I say, the show. But let's get into it. So introducing first of all, as ever, the co-host with the most, the goal collector, the fox in the box, still the QPR dream killer. He is the speed demon. Of course, Davy Jones' favourite son, ex-Cardiff City and Middlesbrough striker, Mr. Andrew Campbell. Welcome, buddy. How are you?
Good evening. Yeah, I'm excellent. I think I'm a lot better than Cardiff City fans are right now. So I think I hope this show will take people's mind off what's just happened in the last. But now listen, football gives so much enjoyment. So we've said this, haven't we, about what's gone on in lockdown and COVID era that we've given so much to people, and this is going to be no different. This show is going to be excellent. Before I'll obviously let you introduce who our guest is going to be, but I love people who do well for themselves out of the North East, you know, and this and our guest is no different. You know what I mean? People come out the North East. It's a hotbed for football, and this guy's no different. To play the amount of games which he's played, to play at the level he's played at, to consistent time is excellent, and I can't wait to dig deep in how that got going and how he just how he followed his career through, really.
Exactly that, mate. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a good show as ever, and very excited to see what the people in the chat come up with for questions as well. But I'm very excited to welcome today's guest. Played over 620 league games in his career. Former Notts County, Blackpool, Scunthorpe, Mansfield and Barnet, amongst a host of other clubs, is midfielder Mr. Neil Bishop. Welcome to the show, Neil. How are you, mate?
Brilliant, mate. Thanks for having me.
No, our pleasure, Neil. It's great. Like I said, you know, I put a tweet out this morning about I made my debut 25 years ago today, which, geez, twice a lifetime. But you know what? We've got who's done it the hard way for me, and I can't wait for everybody to hear the story. And there's so many people out there who could follow and emulate in your footsteps, Neil. And I can't wait for people to understand that there's a level for everybody. And I think that door's closed in professional terms. It's not, you know what I mean. They can still end up doing it, and I can't wait for you to tell people that that's an option. Really looking forward to it.
It's going to be a good one, mate. So Neil, what we like to do to start us off, mate, is the Magnificent Seven. So it's just 7 quick fire questions to let the people know a bit about your tastes and what you're into and stuff like that. Just to a bit of an icebreaker, shall we say? But nice and fun. Maybe chuck a grenade in there once now and again. Not always, though. I could be kind most of the time. But let's have a look.
If there's any...
Sorry, mate. I'd already Cody pressed it by the time you started speaking. Then, mate,
it'll be my fault.
You were going to say any grenades in there. It's Simon's fault.
No, it's not my fault. To be fair, it's not my fault. I'll take the blame for these ones. I'm not bothered.
I know.
Got skin like a rhino.
Neil Bishop, Magnificent 7. Nice and easy to start as ever. Messi or Ronaldo?
Messi. No doubt about it.
Favourite TV show?
Favourite TV show? I tell you what, I'm late on the bandwagon, but I've just started watching The Line of Duty. I'm on series 2 on Netflix. Standing.
Yeah, me and my missus are going to start that actually probably this week, so I'm quite looking forward to that because it's good. I've heard good things. So next up, nice and easy, Notts County or Scunthorpe?
I'll have to go Notts County. We won the league. Yeah, it's hard to split them. Love them both, but I'll go Notts County.
Okay. Best manager you've ever played for?
Oh, best manager. Personally, for me, Steve Cotterill. I thought he was outstanding. Certainly knew I'd get the best of his players.
It's funny, the word you just used there, and I'm just going to pick a word out, and it's personally. Because that answer is so personal to somebody else. Because you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Neil could have sat there and said Dave Jones. You know what I mean, like Klaus Lundigvam said a couple of weeks ago, and it's football have the same opinions as fans do, or different opinions, and everyone's opinion is so different. And I totally respect that because it's that word. That word always just relates to me in football.
Yeah, certain people will speak. You'll say he's the worst manager I've had. You know what I mean? Because he probably fell out for whatever reason. Like I say, it is a very personal thing now.
100%. So, Andy, you're saying Dave Jones wasn't your favourite manager then, mate? Is that right?
I think I don't hide behind anything, me. And if you want to read my tweet, you can go back in my Twitter about 7 years ago, and you
still there, still there in all its glory. Okay, Neil, angriest teammate you've ever played with?
Oh. There's been a few.
You can't vote yourself either.
Yeah, I was going to say I'll be up there. I will be. Barry Ferguson, little angry Scotchman, great footballer. But he was an angry individual.
Was he angry with you though, Bishy? Was it because obviously you played central with him? I'm guessing in central midfield at Blackpool.
Yeah, he was angry. Might not be the right word. Demanding, maybe better. Wanted the best, push people. I'm sure we'll go into it later when I speak about Blackpool, but even at 32, 33, when I was playing with him, I think he improved me, just like you say, just constantly and not happy, demanding more.
I like that though, because demanding is angry, you know what I mean? Because I know players who I could call demanding, but it's the angry side, and people probably won't like that, but it just gets the best out of certain people. Some people need an arm round, but some people need a rocket as well. And
yeah, done the right way, it certainly helped me.
And last couple then, scoring versus Manchester City or playing versus Juventus?
Oh God, scoring against Man City, I think I'd say, yeah. Competitive game, wasn't it? Great question. Both obviously great highlights, but yeah, the Man City goal, just for that feeling when the ball hit the net, it'd be hard to beat that.
Yeah, totally.
And the final question, one of my favourites as ever, and that is, who is, in your opinion, the greatest Englishman who's ever lived? Does not have to be football related.
Oh my God, that's greatest Englishman. I'm gonna have to go Winston Churchill. I know some lunatics are trying to trash his statue down in London now, but yeah, for me, off the top of my head, the greatest Englishman ever.
He is. He's the only one who's come up multiple times. In fairness, he's the only one who's come multiple times. Everyone else is.
But I like that it's not football related as well, though, because you know what I mean. We've had quite a lot of football related ones. We've had quite a lot of non-football related ones, but to not go straight away to the go-to answers, you know what I mean? Because football's, it's a small bubble, you know what I mean? They're bigger than football at the minute, you know what I mean?
It is,
I think that's history is a good thing. I think I can't remember who did I picked Captain Cook because
yeah,
did I pick Captain Cook? I don't think it was English.
Either you or your brother picked your dad.
Middlesbrough.
One of you, either you or your brother
Yeah,
picked your
wasn't
dad
me.
as the and your brother took all the credit then, didn't he?
Yeah, not bad.
But there we go. So we're going to try and cheer these Cardiff City fans up because it's been a miserable few hours. So we are not going to talk about that this evening. We're going to save that for Friday when it's a little bit less raw and we're on the Championship show. So what we're going to do first, before we take a deep dive into Neil's career, and there's lots to dive into. It's a storied and incredible career in all parts of the country with different clubs. We're going to do Tell Me Why. So Neil, in this part, what we do is I ask you and Andy 2 questions, and you've both got 60 seconds to either answer the question or discuss the subject as best you can. You can decide if you want to go first or second for the first question, mate.
I'll go first, mate. Yeah, why not?
Okay. So, the question is it time for Harry Kane to leave Spurs? And if so, where should he go? And,
Good question.
60 seconds starts now.
Again, it's a personal opinion. I think maybe, he's probably at the peak of his powers. He's got a probably decision to make between loyalty to the club he supported as a boy or wanting to go on and win major honours. So it's personal, and it'll probably come down to what matters to him more. Would it mean more to him to qualify for Europe and maybe win a League Cup, FA Cup with Spurs, or go on to play one of the biggest teams in the world and constantly challenge for the major honours? That's me done.
That's it. Yeah, it's tricky. There's 30 seconds left. I'll let you off because it's the first one you've done. But it's a tricky one. Who do you reckon if he decides to leave Spurs and Spurs, Daniel Levy is a. I tell you what, I'll ask you that question in a minute because I don't want to give Andy any ideas. See, because it's where he steals the guests' ideas for the 60 seconds. Now. So Andy, is your 60 seconds, mate? Start now.
I'm in the opinion that he's got to leave. I think if he stays at Tottenham, I don't think he's going to win the trophies that he deserves to win. I think with his ability and his England history and the goals that he's going to score for his country, I think that he's got to leave. There's a gap at Man City. I know they've said that they're not going to sign a centre forward, but for me, I think that's a smokescreen. I do believe that they'll go and spend the money. I do believe that there's somebody like Harry would be a great fit. He would suit the way that they play. He would work in the box. He would score the types of goals that they don't score to another level, potentially in the Champions League. Listen, he loves Spurs, like Bishy just said. He's played there all his career. He grew up there. He's a Spurs fan, but if he's got any regrets by the time he packs in football, you know what I mean, for me, my advice would be just go and do it, because it's a short window, lifespan left in his football, and for me, go and win some medals, go and win some trophies, go and win some titles, and see where it ends up.
Time's up there. Look at that. That is the first time, mate, that you've gone bang on.
That was good. And I finished.
Bang on.
And I finished. I ran out of ideas.
Yeah, I'm sure you got a time.
It's a great question.
You finished bang on 60 seconds.
It's a great question.
So here's my shout for it. And I'll ask you both now where you think he should go. If he decides he's going to go and Daniel Levy sets a price and whoever matches it, let's assume, who you think he should go to. For me, I think the team which suits him the best and would get the best out of him is probably one of the Manchester clubs, because they're both looking for a full-time striker who's going to bag them, 20, 30 goals a season. And I just think, for instance, if you put Harry Kane in the middle with Rashford and Martial or Greenwood or whoever either side of him, and Bruno Fernandes behind him, you're looking. They create a lot of chances as well through Luke Shaw. It seems like the perfect storm for them. Then same for Man City. Although I think Man City maybe would want someone who's a bit more, a bit quicker and a bit more mobile. Whereas I think United have got the pace around him. They need someone who's going to play central and score goals, and I think he fits that bill. Cavani's not, even if Cavani stays for another season, he's not a long-term solution. And arguably,
has he got a small window though, fellas? Has he got a small window though? Like Stevie signed for Chelsea, he turned it down and nothing materialised after that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Is it this summer that he leaves, Bishy? If he doesn't leave this year, then he's going to stay. He has to stay.
I think it is, because I think for the money Spurs will want for him, and the price tag, what is he, 27, 28 now? I think once you start getting very late 30s, no one's going to pay that money for you because there's basically no resale value. You're probably
he's also busy as well. He's also one injury away from, you know what I mean, he's had a couple of bad injuries, you know what I mean, he's also one more bad injury away from that valuation being a couple of ankle injuries. A couple of ankle injuries on the same ankle, I believe, so that'll be a alarm going off for some clubs, like you say, because it'll be a massive outlay. You know, Daniel Levy's renowned, isn't he, for getting top whack for his players, and you imagine it's going to be something close to a world record fee if they do sell him.
Yeah, you look at the Premier League clubs specifically. I think Chelsea probably don't need him because they've signed a couple of strikers in recent years. Liverpool, I don't think he suits their style of play, and I would argue that maybe Liverpool don't have the money to spend 100 million plus on Harry Kane, but you know, maybe they do. And then outside that, really, like Leicester are not renowned for spending that amount of money, so I don't think that they would probably be in it. And then, you know, you're looking at PSG and other clubs around Europe, which takes me nicely into the second question, but I'll get to now. Like, in terms of foreign clubs, maybe that's something, like, I do think is now or never for him for a foreign club, because I think once another 2 seasons on, the likes of Real Madrid and Barcelona, they're not going to look at him because he'll be too old. They won't get they won't have the resale value or the potential. But like, do you think any of those clubs would be interested in him, Ant?
I think what happened to Gareth Bale scared him off. I'll be honest. I think you know what I mean.
Bale's
Gareth
Spurs, of course, now as well.
Yeah, he was a legend there for so many years at Real Madrid. I mean, but then it can turn sour very quickly. And when it turns sour for you very quickly in a country when you're on your own, or just, you know what I mean, it's not viable for your family. You know what I mean. Families. I know he's got a young family not so long ago. So I think for me, I think he'll stay in England. I don't believe he will go abroad. I think his window is an English window for him. And
Rob says there, and
everything I've just said, I think he would probably stay in England. Yeah, well, yeah, but I just think it's all on. You know what I mean? And to be honest, who could afford him? You know what I mean? Because for me, there's not that much money in Italy. You know what I mean? As much as there used to be.
No,
you know what I mean? Probably Juve, probably the only team, or Inter Milan. You know what I mean? Who could probably go to Inter Milan? Probably no. Would he go and play for Juventus? Possibly. He's got Aaron Ramsey there, who he probably knows from North London games. He's got Ronaldo there. Do they need him? Because they've got Morata as well. There's questions which
his career, but I agree with you completely. Reese has made an interesting point. He says Daniel Levy wouldn't sell to a league rival, but I'd argue that he's done it before. Like, he sold Michael Carrick to Man United, he sold Berbatov to Man United. He has done it before. Like, if the price is right.
I love it though. I love the job league, like a league rival. Then they don't challenge for the league, so there can't be a league rival, can there? It's just it's impossible. You know what I mean? But I understand his point that Daniel's he's a shrewd businessman. Like Bishy said, he'll demand top dollar and more, and he'll get it as well, because whatever he'll get it. He's a businessman. He's hard faced as well. He'll get it.
Yeah, I mean, Harry Kane is proven, isn't he? Like, I know he gets some criticism maybe for his lack of pace and things like that, but he's proven over the last 5 seasons plus that not only is he goal scorer, but he's got a high football IQ. Like, his football intelligence is vast. Would you say?
Yeah, well, look, it's the hardest job in football. He's a striker. It's the hardest job in football to put the ball in the net. And you look at the top clubs now; they're all looking for strikers. Like, say, Man United have brought in Cavani because they thought they could do one or get 1 or 2 seasons out of him. But it is the hardest job in football. And he's got an international level at the top level in the Premier League. He's got like a back catalogue, 5-6 seasons of proving he can do it at the top levels. So, like I say, I don't know. Stories about Barcelona, Real Madrid, struggling for cash really. So you're probably looking towards Manchester and PSG, the three teams that can afford him.
I think.
Go on.
I think. Sorry, just to finish this one off. I think Daniel Levy will be quite happy with that COVID hit. You know what I mean? Because I think if clubs can't afford, then it makes the decision very, very easy. You know what I mean? He'll ask for a little bit more money to think that if someone does buy, I'll get top dollar. Stays and he helps us. Spurs will never win the title without him, because Spurs won't reinvest that money. You know what I mean? They'll reinvest it, but not all of it. You know what I mean? So they won't buy another Harry Kane. They'll buy somebody who probably scores them 7 or 8, 10, 12 goals max. You know what I mean? They won't get a player who scores. Part of me will feel sorry for, you know what I mean? But they've made an investment in the stadium. You know what I mean? That stadium must be costing a fortune, by the way. So they need to recoup that money somehow. Yes. You know what I mean? Like Arsenal did. You know, they must have overheads at that football club now.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I noticed a few people in the chat saying Man City, and I agree. But my one thing on Man City is I don't think that Pep will see him as mobile enough to be his front man. Like, if you look at the front men he's used over the last few years, he's used I forgot his name, Jesus, and he's used Aguero, like people who run in behind, and Tottenham use Son to do that. And like Rob Boyle makes a point there, he says he prefers Son over Kane, and I can see why people do. Like, I think Son is massively underrated, but like Harry Kane, you don't score that amount of goals without having something about you, and I think sometimes he gets a bit of disrespect. But it takes me on quite nicely. We were talking about PSG there to the next question. The next question is Neymar has agreed a pre-contract with PSG to stay there, and they're now talking to Mbappe about doing the same. And my question is it because nobody can afford to buy Neymar that he's decided to stay there? And also, if Neymar was to go anywhere else, is he worth 150 million that he would probably cost? Because, well, people have mixed opinions of Neymar. So is he, with everything that comes with him off the pitch, and is he worth 150 million? Is he going to turn you into Champions League winners, etc., etc.? Neil, do you want to go first or second on the enigma that is Neymar? Okay, so you've got 60 seconds to talk about Neymar, PSG, and is he worth 150 million quid plus? And your time starts now.
Well, going for the price tag to start with, we already talked about it. How many clubs can realistically afford him? I think he was mooted about going back to Barcelona. Realistically, they can't afford him. Struggling. Real Madrid, again, can they afford 150 million? Then you obviously the big hitters in this country, are they going to pay that for him? So he's probably at the place now where he's going to get the biggest contracts. I know he moved there. I think he said at the time that he had to get on Messi's shadow if he wanted to go and challenge for the Ballon d'Or and certain things. And obviously the thing there is, things with PSG, I know they're struggling this year. It's season like over for various reasons, but they've got to win the Champions League to be seen as a success, and to sort of justify the outlay of the Mbappes and the Neymars. You know, that's their end goal. That's the reason he went there. Is he worth 150 million for me? I wouldn't say so, no. If you're tossing up between him and Harry Kane, who you'd buy, personally, I'd go for Harry Kane.
Interesting. So that is a question. Would you go for, if you had to buy one of them, would you buy Harry Kane or Neymar? That's
different players, and obviously, they'll bring different things to your team. But it's just again personal preference.
Yeah.
Interesting. Right. Same question, and for you, and your time starts now.
I don't think even Paris Saint-Germain can afford these kind of players, but they're in a position where nobody's ever going to be able to buy them because of Neymar's price is ridiculous and Mbappe's price is outrageous. You know what I mean? Which is probably double, and rightly so because he's far better and far greater. But you've got to, if you're going to let players go, you've got to get your value for them. I believe as a players, you know what I mean, they're at a position in their careers where, like Bishop just said there, they need to win the Champions League, and if they do win the Champions League this year, I don't believe they'll stay at Paris Saint-Germain. They'll go to another country and try and win something again and move on. But I'm not sure that Mbappe's contract will be renewed. I think he'll be a little bit more clever than Neymar is, because Neymar, at his age and the way that he plays, I'm not sure he'll be able to get back those kind of monies week in, week out, where Mbappe, for me, could go anywhere in the world he wants to go.
Yeah, 4 seconds.
How long
Sorry
was that?
off that. 4
take
seconds left, not too bad.
I would like to add on though, Si, about that Harry Kane shout, because you know what Bishy just said there. Harry gives you guaranteed goals. He gives you guaranteed goals where Neymar gives you something different. He gives you entertainment. He gives you assists. He gives you an all round probably a display of just something nice to look at. Where if you're Pochettino, you want Harry Kane. He'd be desperate if he came available and he had a war chest of money to spend. He would swap him. I believe he would. He probably would swap him because he loses his temper. Where Harry Kane, he could go and captain Paris Saint-Germain. He could be the difference with having the pace either side. Because I know they had Kane from Everton. They've got Di Maria. They've got obviously Mbappe. They've got other players. They've got younger players. I think he would be a perfect fit for them. But then the league's easy. He would go score tons of goals. Would it be career suicide?
Yeah, here's a question then for you both. You like Pochettino would obviously fancy Kane. We'll all agree that. Would Pep fancy Neymar?
I don't think so. I think.
No, I don't either.
I know he looks younger than what he is, but he's creeping on. I think Man City will have other targets in mind. I just don't think he'd be high up on Pep's shopping list.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think managers now need players who are guaranteed. They're guaranteed 7, 8 out of 10. They're guaranteed goals. They're guaranteed assists. And I don't think he's got that Barcelona enthusiasm anymore, where he used to be consistent week in, week out. He has regular bad games. He misses a lot of Christmas time football. I know he's notorious for getting injured around his sister's birthday, apparently, around Christmas time, which is scandalous. But you know what I mean. That's just a rumor, which seems to happen every single season. He picks an injury up. But listen, you know what I mean. Football makes Neymar. You know, it's not the other way around. You know what I mean. If Neymar wasn't a footballer, he wouldn't be famous. You know what I mean. So he's very fortunate to be in the position he's in, and that people pay and expect a return on what he gives. And for me, especially last year, I don't really see a return on it. I see other people have overtaken him. Mbappe's cleaned him up for me, and will probably continue to do that.
Yeah, it'd be interesting what happens. I think for me, if it wasn't for COVID and all the different things that the pandemic's brought, I do think PSG would probably sell one of them, but I think it's probably cheaper for them to re-sign them than it is for them to try and replace them, if you get what I mean. So I do think that might be the case. And I think Neymar would probably be the one they'd try to get rid of if they had to choose between the two. But equally, it has looked for a couple of years as if Mbappe's destined to go to Spain or wherever. So it's going to be an interesting time in the summer. We talked about it a bit recently. Like, there's so many clubs who need a few players or have got a bit of a rebuild to do in the Premier League and in Europe as well. That there could be quite a lot of movement, but there's arguably less money available than there has been in the last 10 years. Like, I don't think every club or every top club has got like 200 million to spend this year, whereas perhaps over the last certainly 5-6 years, the very top 2-3 teams, biggest teams in each country, Italy, Spain, Premier League, etc., they've always had, if they needed to go and get like a couple of players, they would always have that amount of money to spend. But I don't believe they have. Even the likes of Real Madrid, Barcelona, I don't think they've got it. So there could be a bit of swap deals going on, mate, I think.
At the same time, Si, I think you've got to keep up with the Joneses, haven't you? You know what I mean? You've got to, in order to be successful. I look at Liverpool, for example. Liverpool have to invest this year heavily. If they don't invest this year, they're going to even leave. Even the Man Uniteds, even other teams who are catching up. Leicester City might sign loads of players. Spurs might even invest loads of money. You just don't know. And if Liverpool fall further behind, pick up some more injuries, they don't have backup like they haven't had this year. You know what I mean? I like Mo Salah. He's not going to want to stay in and finish 6th, 7th in the league. You know what I mean? And fight for Champions League players. He's too good for that. You know what I mean? It's the same. It's the same thing what other players do. You know what I mean? They're not going to be happy with finishing 4th in the Premier League. That's not why they sign for these world class.
Yeah, agreed, mate. Agreed, 100%. Some few interesting comments. The big man, Alan Jones, says he's been in the house. He said Neymar will always provide entertainment, but not necessarily points or goals. In a full stadium, he's a dream to have for merch sales, but not someone I'd go for if I was after goals. And I think that's a fair comment, isn't it? Like, if you got a full stadium every week and there's no pandemic, Neymar's a dream. And I think that's why the likes of Ed Woodward at United have always had half an eye on him, because they know, him in that Adidas shirt and that United shirt would sell all over the world. But he's just not what United need at all. But Ed that's never got in Woodward's way before, mind. He loves a bit of merch sales. Okay, so Neil, what's your earliest football memory? Like, what's the first time, whether it's watching a game, playing the game, just something, the first time you got hooked on the game we all love?
It's going back some. My first time going to a match, I remember, was at the old A.C.E Cammy, watching Middlesbrough. My dad was a Middlesbrough fan. I'm a Stockton lad. Zenith Data Systems Cup final. I don't know if you remember that when I was young. And
got beat by
Chelsea. Yeah, remember the day, like, brilliant. What a day that was, what an experience.
Tony DeRigo broke my heart.
Tony DeRigo. I think I was 10. And then, like I say, just from a my dad always played football. He was a fan. Made sure I was a Boro fan. Started playing for Stockton West End. Same path as a lot of young kids up there, really. Like, just football mad area. And like I say, Middlesbrough was my team from a very early age.
So moving on for a question, so he said about obviously Bernie was my hero. I was very fortunate to meet Bernie and be good friends with him now, and it's great to be close to your idols and to try and emulate them. But who was your favourite player growing up? You know what I mean? Because Essen Park was good. The players ran around, give everything for the football club, and so who was a player that you looked up to the most?
I wouldn't say I had one, Cammy. I enjoyed going watching Middlesbrough. I think I like Robbie Mustoe, Jamie Pollock. Obviously, I know Jamie now as well. So it's like you say, you grow up when you meet these people. I know I wasn't a goalkeeper, but Stephen Pears. These are lads you grew up watching. So I wouldn't say I got one eye on one. Young Alan Moore when he played. But like I said, the loads. I just love going and watching Boro, and because I think I was a defender back then. So like Gary Pallister. There wasn't one specific person. I always thought, I'm going to model my game, or I want to grow up to be like that. I just like a whole host. Whoever was playing for Middlesbrough at the time. Obviously, went the Riverside and that. I think Janino will have to go down as my favourite ever Boro player. He was a joy to watch, and probably apart from Messi, the best player I've ever seen live. To be honest, I think if he was one of the London clubs, I know I'm straight off here, but if he was one of the bigger clubs, I think he would have been talked about as one of the Premier League greats. But yeah, back to the case in point, I was just, like I say, just always playing for Middlesbrough, mate. They were my team, and I just idolised whoever was playing in that red shirt.
Obviously, we've got a lot of staff. We've got a lot of Cardiff fans, haven't we? And a lot of football fans who've transitioned over new stadiums, old stadiums. You said about the Riverside. You said about Essen Park. The difference between the two, atmosphere-wise, going to watch a game, which is your favourite? You know what I mean? Because we've all got our own opinions in football, but football had to evolve. But did you enjoy it back then at Essen Park or the Riverside?
Oh, I loved it. Loved County. Essen Park was brilliant. I remember the last ever game there against Luton. I remember the atmosphere, just walking around. Obviously, they had to move financially for the growth of the club. It was something that had to happen. Atmosphere-wise, it's hard. I mean, I've been to Riverside on I was on about it the other night. Carling Cup final against Liverpool when we turned them over. The European nights down there, some of the nights, the atmospheres were special, really, really special. I don't think you get that consistency, especially like you say when you get 15, 20,000 people in the Riverside. It can be cavernous, a bit echoey. You get that in Essen Park, and it could be raucous. You know what I mean? Because it's just because of how the stadiums are different. And I remember when we first used to go in the northeast corner at Essen Park. It was more like cater to the families rather than being in the whole gate. But the older I got, we went in the whole gate a few times, and it was brilliant. You know, you talk about the proper old-fashioned stadiums. The urinals were an absolute disgrace. You could the smell of urine on the stands and Bovril, but it was brilliant. You know, I think the older fans will always say Essen Park, and obviously the new generation. Yeah. You showed some of them that, and you'd be thinking, Christ, what a dump this place is like. But now I've got really good fond memories of both.
Do you ever play in Ninian Park, Neil?
I didn't know, mate. No, that was before my time. I've seen pictures and videos from back in the day, but I was never fortunate enough to play there.
Ninian Park was just the same as Essen Park. It's so famous for various things, and just the atmosphere. I found it was just home from home, and that's what made me feel like I was home. Really, you know what I mean. The fans were passionate about it, like they were in the North East. You know what I mean. You said there about the transition in the club. You know what I mean. You mentioned some really high profile things about the Carling Cup semi-finals against Liverpool, turning them over. The European nights for Middlesbrough, for example. Those kind of things, Si. If Middlesbrough didn't move to the new stadium, and I look at Cardiff as well, same thing. You know what I mean? Yes, we had some success at the Ninian Park, but the football club had to evolve. The football club had to move. All clubs have to go to new grounds. You know what I mean? For revenue, for sponsorship, for the clubs to go to another level. And it's, you know what I mean? The atmosphere is standing. It's great. You know what I mean? You're taking that element away, but for money and for football to go into a business, you know what I mean? You've got to follow everybody else, and you look at some of the. I'll use Arsenal as an example. You know what I mean? The atmosphere at the Emirates, but they generate X amount of money week in, week out. You know what I mean? You stick that same crowd at Highbury. Highbury was one of the best stadiums I ever played at. You know what I mean? For atmosphere, it was great. You know what I mean? You never got anything from the game because of the atmosphere. It was so hostile to go to, where nobody's scared to go to the Emirates because it's like a library, and that's just the way the football is now because people can't generate the same atmosphere in the same stadiums. You know what I mean? Old Trafford's never had that problem because they've never really moved away from it. You know what I mean? So it's different stadiums have their own different problems, and they've got to reignite themselves again and restart, and really struggle to do that.
100%. Gavin asked Neil did you ever play at Newport County Stadium?
Oh yeah, a few times. I don't even. Is that even a specific football stadium? Because the crowd behind the goal, I think at one end they're actually behind the floodlights. So I played there on the night. You come out, you can't go on end. It's a strange setup. The pitch is always a disgrace. I've got to be honest.
Well, I was just about to say that, Bishy. That's one thing I was just going to ask you about the pitch, because the pitch it's an absolute shocker. You know what I mean? Because even this year, and I'm sure they played the last 3 games at Cardiff Stadium. Yes. So you know what I mean? Why is the pitch that bad? And does that hinder you as you walk on it pre-match, that you think, oh Jesus, not this again?
Yeah, you're right. It's always been the same. I mean, I haven't played on there. I think I've only played on there one season, but we got them in the playoffs as well when I was at Mansfield, and it was horrendous. And obviously, you see the images on the TV this year. You wonder how it's so bad. Obviously, I think it is because obviously for most northern clubs, I've always played mostly in the north. You travel all the way down there. It's an horrible stadium. The fans, again, the close to the pitch, it can be intimidating. And once you walk on that, and you know you're doing the warm up, and especially you go in winter, the mud's clagged to your boots and the wind's whirling around. It's a definite advantage. But like I say, I think long term, I think something needs to be done because it's not. I mean, I don't know what the records say, but you must have a higher increase of injury on a pitch like that. It is dreadful, and something needs doing about it, really.
Well, like as I said, I didn't know we had a little bit of a debate on a previous show about them obviously moving to the Cardiff City Stadium, because I saw it as a bad thing. I saw it as a bad thing for Newport because I think they played Bradford City there, and I think Bradford might have beaten them. You know what I mean? Because players want to go and play Cardiff. You know what I mean? It's like a cup stadium, the big crowd, the nice pitch. So it's like home from home for them. Where for the Newport players, you know what I mean? They're trying to adapt their game. Where on their pitch they're used to it. They're used to their surroundings. They're used to the change rooms. They're used to everything about it. Whereas you go to a new stadium during the season, it's so hard to change the way that you want to try and play for 1 or 2 fixtures at home. You know what I mean? Against teams who will raise their game as well, because it's their cup final.
Indeed. And got a few questions in the live chat, mate. So before we sort of move on, we'll go to them just quickly so don't forget. Rob Boyle said, did you enjoy your time at Blackpool, Neil? what's your fondest memory there, and also how good was Chris Basham?
Yeah, I loved it at Blackpool. Obviously, went in there under Ince in the Championship. I had a great. I mean, I think we got off to the best start Blackpool ever had to a season. Right up in the playoffs, and obviously it started to turn a bit sour between the chairman and Notorious down there. Obviously he's gone now, but turned a bit sour between him and Ince, and it felt a bit. We finished well in the bottom half. Chris Basham, yeah, a great Bash, North East lads from Newcastle, got along with him really well. Great down to earth lads. Could play in numerous positions, and it's great to see him doing so well at Sheffield United in the Premier League for the last few seasons. Because you like to see good players do well, you like to see good people do well, and he was certainly both.
I totally agree there, Si. You know what I mean? We spoke about this, haven't we? You know that footballers get a bad name, but don't they? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they're not all arrogant. They're not all nasty people. You know what I mean? Some, when the young players, they want to listen to older players. They want to learn. They want to listen. You know what I mean? And he's by for me one of the best man managers in the game, Chrissy Wilder, and Chrissy has turned him into a Premiership footballer from a League One footballer. You know what I mean? From a League One position, and you know what I mean? Fair play to the lad to take on board some advice, you know what I mean, to learn a style of play and rewards, and you know what I mean, potentially he could stay in the Premier League next year, or he could drop back down to the Championship and force his way back up that way, but he's in a miles better position now than he was probably 2 or 3 seasons ago.
Good shout, mate, good shout indeed. I am a big fan of Chris Wilder. I think he's done a tremendous job over the last couple of years. Reese asked, Neil, in your opinion, why have things not gone right for Wrexham over the past few years? I know a few of their fans who had a pure dislike for Darlington.
Yeah. Look, I obviously I'd be lying if I said I've kept a close eye on Wrexham over the last few years. But look, I've played in the conference. It's a tough division. One team gets promoted, the playoffs, or then a lottery. You can have a great season. I think it was a few seasons ago, Tranmere finished second on something like 90 odd points, ridiculous. Then got beat in the playoffs. You know what I mean? So you can have it is a tough division. One of my old teams, Ross County, now finding out. Hartlepool, another North East team, stuck in there. Obviously they've got I think a high profile investment now. People took over. Hopefully better times, because I've played down there. The racecourse ground, it's great again. Talk about old fashioned, great atmosphere, good solid fan base, and could be a big club.
We've said the same, you know what I mean, that league's, you know what I mean, everyone talks about the Championship being a tough league to get. The National League now, you know what I mean, you've got Sutton United top of the league at the minute, you've got Hartlepool, you've got Notts County, you've got Wrexham, you've got all these teams, Aldershot, teams who 3, 4, 5 years ago were all in League 2, League 1, battling it out for promotion. Some bad decisions, some mismanagement, some financial issues, and all of a sudden they're all fighting around in the same league for the same kind of players, and you take a risk. Like Bishy just said there, though, you know, one goes up automatically, then you're fighting the rest in the playoffs. You know what I mean? I look at the league. You've got Southend United, huge football club, bottom of the division. You've got Guernsey Town, might go down. You know, these football clubs, you might never see them again if these teams go down, because they could get lost in this league. You know what I mean? Look what happened to Dover Athletic this year. You know what I mean? Obviously with their assistant manager, and I know their manager, and the decision obviously was taken out of their hands, that they couldn't finish the season because of finance. It's such a shame that these kind of football clubs are in this kind of predicament at the minute, and potentially might never ever recover, because the league could tell them that they're not allowed back in. Finances could dictate that anyway. And where do these players go? Where do the fans go? You know what I mean? Because let's be honest, Dover Athletic is, you know what I mean, I played there once in the FA Cup. Dover Athletic is probably the furthest game I've ever had to go game, and I didn't enjoy the trip back, I'll be honest.
Andy's dad, last question from the chat for now. Andy's dad said, Neil, who has had the biggest influence on your career?
Obviously, I think, like majority of people, it'd be my dad. He's probably the one person who's been there through the full lot, through non-league, into the Football League. The one person probably completely honest with me. I'd have to say, I'd have to say my dad. So obviously, I've played under numerous managers. And I've been fortunate that I've not really fell out with any of them, to be honest. I've always had good relationships with my managers. I'm quite fortunate. I can actually say that, because obviously just Andy touched on a bit there earlier on the show. So once you clash with the manager, you know it is hard, and you know what I mean. But going back to the bit, yeah, most managers have always really supported me. I've been very, very lucky.
Have you ever fallen out with a teammate, Neil, properly?
Sorry, Si. Just to follow on that, I've just had a text on my phone which said the person who's had the biggest Jamie Clark.
Jamie Clark. Teammates, yeah. Clark, he's a great lad. Lad I play with. Billingham Town non-league. Great lad. Great lad, Clarky.
Yeah. Neil, have you ever fallen out with a teammate, like, properly?
Oh, look, numerous times on the training pitch, on the football pitch, but it always come from a desire to win. It was always, I like to think it was always done in the right way. I've had teammates have a go at me. You just got to take it in the chin. Look, when I first stepped up in the professional game, you thought, whoa, hang on. But you learn it. People, the majority of people, say, do it for the right reasons. And, then you have your fall out, you get it all out, you air it out, you shake hands and you crack on. I've got no time for these people who will, you have a go to someone off, and then they'll put they won't talk to you. It's a bad expression, but it's a man's game. People have a go. You take it on the chin and you move forward. Like I say, as long as it's done for the right reasons, I don't think falling out with anyone can harms the dressing room. To be honest, I think it can be a good thing.
Yeah, you just got to leave it.
So when you say that, then
on the pitch,
then basically you say like it being a man's game. Does that mentality come from playing in non-league football? Because
I think it does.
It's sink or swim, it's sink or swim, isn't it? Sink or swim.
Yeah, and I don't like saying it because obviously it's an out-of-date phrase, but it just sort of sums it up, the point I'm trying to make, really. It is an outdated phrase, but yeah, it's non-league. Non-league talent, it's a tough place with some tough people playing. Young lads can get eaten up. There's some big experienced pros in there. Case Clark, he'll tell you. Lads who are seasoned players at that level. Some people have done it all their lives and see young lads coming through, and you've got to look after yourself. Look, I got elbowed a few times playing Sunday morning, woke up in the South Tees Hospital, didn't know where I was. But it's a learning curve, and like I say, I think that's where my mindset has come from, and I certainly wouldn't change the way I got into football for anything. It was a learning curve, but one I'm proud to come through.
Do you think as well then the people need to understand that then, don't they? Because there's a lot of good young players or experienced players at that level who never, for their own choice, wanted to go and play professionally because it's easier to not take that risk and take that jump, or people haven't taken a risk on them. You know what I mean? Because I see recently you got Lewis Wing, who's playing for Shildon, and then all of a sudden made the jump to the Championship at Middlesbrough. Like yourself, you've got other players who've done it and wore that T-shirt and had the experience. And I just think it's a hotbed of football. And I'm not just on about the North East. I'm on about there's the same probably Conference South. You know what I mean? A nationwide South. Sorry, these players who are desperate to go and play. And I think probably COVID aside, I think those doors might be opening probably quicker than they imagined, because teams might not be able to go and spend money on bigger transfers, so they've got to look for bigger squads and smaller wages, and these players might which others haven't had the opportunity for.
Yeah, definitely. I've played with some really talented individuals, probably I'd say more talented than me. If I'm being honest, at non-league level, I was just fortunate enough to get the chance.
So there's go on, mate. Sorry, and
no, sorry. Well, my dad was going to ask. My dad was going to ask a question, but I was going to ask it before that, because obviously,
yeah,
you said about your dad being the biggest influence in your career. What other family influences? Because obviously your brother played football. He played for me back in the day when I was a manager at Norton and things. So, how influential have you been, or your brother's been in your football career, and other family members as well?
Yeah, they've always supported me. Look, my mum and dad, even when I was a band, used to travel down from the North East to come and watch me. So I've always had that backing. I've been, like I said, really, really fortunate to have that football mad family. Like I said, I'm one of three brothers who played local leagues around the North East. So look, I've always had that support network, and it's certainly helped me.
Which is great, though, isn't it? You know what I mean? And I can relate to that. You know what I mean? Because I was quite lucky that my brother's been a little bit older than me. That he came up a similar way, did YTS, went into pro, played reserve team football, Pontons League, played first team football, and so my progression was mapped out for me. That I knew what the good, the bad, and the ugly, which makes your life easy. You know what I mean? That yeah. But then obviously, when I stepped up and made the progression, that that people are only a phone call away. You know what I mean? I know my dad watches this show, and he knows how. I don't need to tell him how important he was. But it's always having those people to lean on, because football can be a lonely place. You know what I mean? After a game, when you've had a bad game, or even when you win, you know what I mean? You're only as good as your last game, or you have a bad season, you lose a big game, you get injured. You know what I mean? It can be such a lonely place. And I don't think fan kind of stories, not horror stories, but when they listen to these stories and antidotes, that they realise that it's not all roses and it's not all good times for players.
No, definitely, mate, definitely.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because like there's pressure, even if you're playing non-league football or Premier League football, there's pressure every week, every day. And I think sometimes people on the outside don't realise like how much pressure and what that pressure can do to certain people if they're having like a bad time off the pitch. That pressure on the pitch and around, you know, games and competitions and going for the league or trying to stay up, it has an all-round effect on everything, doesn't it? There was a question which I just wanted to do, mate, because I know I said last question from the live chat for now, but it's a name I don't recognise, so I think it's a new viewer. It's John Clerk and says, Neil, are you still playing football at the moment?
Well, obviously I retired previous season from full-time football. 39, I just thought, yeah, I was done. I'd finished my coaching badges, so I knew that's what I wanted to do. Obviously, I signed for Scarborough last season just to keep playing, really. I was coaching during the week, free on the weekends, and like I said, I've always enjoyed being in the dressing room, being part of something. But obviously, the season got curtailed, obviously because of COVID reasons. But I'm just waiting to see. To be honest, I'm speaking to a few people about coaching opportunities next season, maybe still playing. So I'm open. I'm very open. Like I say, it's strange times, to be honest. It's strange times in the football world. I think obviously the lesser clubs, even where I'm working at Mansfield now in their academy, we've had a lot of lads who've been furloughed, and I think clubs are certainly clubs at the lower end are realising that they can get by with fewer staff because they've had to. You know, they've sent lads on furlough, so maybe the blokes who've been working have been covering two jobs. And now clubs, I think clubs are starting to realise they can get by with less staff. So maybe the jobs will be few and far between. But no, look, hopefully I've got some irons in the fire, and I don't really want to start until everything's signed and sealed. But yeah, hopefully I'd like to play at some level, like I say, because I just love playing, love the game.
Is that something you enjoy doing, Neil? Is like working with academies and stuff and kids and that?
Yeah, it is. Look, I've got my air licence. That obviously does make you a good coach. They're just the steps you've got to go through. One thing I'm short of, obviously, because I've played, is the hours on the grass coaching. And I've spoken to a lot of managers, a lot of players, a lot of people who've gone down that route. And obviously, they do say start off with the kids, and it's just obviously children are less forgiving, you know, or more forgiving, should I say. You know, you walk into, Camille will say, you walk into a dressing room full of men and you're a bit unsure and you're stuttering, your sessions are a bit, you know what I mean? Dressing rooms do pick up for it, and, you know, men do pick up on things very, very quickly, whereas children, like you say, they will be more forgiving of your little mistakes. So I think it's good to go into that environment and iron out, get your philosophies and get your ideas, you know, nailed down before you step up to the men's side. That's the way I see my progression working anyway.
And it is as well, though, because there's less opinions as well. Well, there's probably zero opinions, you know what I mean? Because kids are there to learn. They give them the information, and then they use that information to put into their own game. Where, you know what I mean? Even I'm probably talking about players 18, 19, 20, 21. You know what I mean? The amount of opinions and the thing that the players they think they've made it all. You know what I mean? It's just so wrong on so many levels. You know, I remember time for Cardiff that I probably had a voice. You know what I mean? Because at Middlesbrough, I was still classed as a young lad. You're still classed as someone who doesn't know anything, to coaches, to players. And I think that's how football's evolved a little bit. And I think players need to understand that their coach is there to do a job. They're the right person to make you a better player. You know what I mean? Neil Bishop's played 700 games. He knows what he's talking about. You know what I mean? I'm sat there in a dressing room and I've played 37 games, for example. I'm starting to listen to someone who knows the feelings of what I'm going through. He knows how. And I'm a big advocate of people who played the game need to get into these clubs and pass their experience on. We had Klaus Lundegvam on. I know I've just said that previously, but he's going to pass his experience on to young players of how he felt after games, how he felt after in the game, because unless you played the game, you know what I mean? And I'm not being disrespectful to the badges, you know what I mean? The badges are what you need to get into football. Like a degree is what you need to get into working in an office, for example. It's just that qualification what you need to get, but there's more what comes with it. Bishy said about grass, you know what I mean? Bishy's experience on grass is 700 times 90, for example. That's a lot more than I got. A lot more than I know 90% of footballers got. So for me, there's more than that, and Bishy's well above that, and just needs to pass on that experience to people. But that opportunity sometimes is hampered by those doors not being opened by people, or the opportunity not being given or got. And you know, I surely hope that clubs look at who come at the end of the career, or club heroes, legends who can pass their knowledge on to kids at academy level, to schoolboy level, to young pros, to experienced pros, and just pass it on to people, because you know what I mean, everyone's still learning, managers are still learning, you know what I mean. That's why they've got clubs, they've got all this backroom staff, numerous people around it to make them better and make the players better, because they don't know everything, you know what I mean, and they openly say that. Fergie didn't know everything, you know what I mean. Moyes doesn't know everything, you know what I mean. That they have staff around them to help them out, which is great.
Yeah, we talked about it with Gilo last week, mate. With David Giles, he was speaking about having football people in football positions and coaching the players and coaching the kids, but also how difficult it is to get jobs if you don't know the right people to help you get them. It is, and that's a shame, because I think I've said a couple of times in recent shows, like there's an influx of players now who've finished in the last, say, 5 years, top players, but also very vastly, you know, experienced and quality players who've played a lot of football at a lot of different levels, who would be good coaches and good managers. And how many of them are not getting opportunities purely because they don't know the right person to get one foot in the door? And like, to me, that's a problem, and that's why we see the same managers going for the same jobs and around. Like, it's the same thing all the time. As soon as a manager goes,
but it's my go-to quote, my go-to person is John Sheridan. You know what I mean? I think he's had 13 clubs in 15 years, and that's a problem. That, you know what I mean? That's a problem. That's a problem for the club. Agent. I don't blame the person. I don't blame the man whatsoever. I don't know John. I don't know him whatsoever. I don't know his management style. I don't know his tactics. I don't know his philosophy for hiring. You know what I mean? Because the clubs must look and go, what's he achieved in his tenure at this club, that club, whatever, Swindon Town, whatever club, Oldham Athletic. Well, was he successful? No. Well, we can't hire him then because he wasn't successful. Give the job to somebody else. You've got to look at players who played the game. You've got to look at, you know what I mean, is there somebody better at this opportunity, at this time, to give the job to, or somebody to stand next to him and learn from him whilst he's in place? And if that's somebody like Bishy, to learn the ropes. I look at Jonathan Woodgate, for example. He was probably out of his depth at Middlesbrough. You know what I mean? I think he'll probably admit it. He was stood next to Tony Pulis for a year at Stoke City. He was doing the same thing at Middlesbrough. He learned the ropes. He got his stars, so to speak. Went on his own. Didn't work. It's now gone to a club. Yes, they've come down from the Premier League, but the smallest club in stature, in my opinion. And now he's pulling up some trees, and he's doing something really good for that football club. And the way that he's put a philosophy in, he's got some very good footballers. The way he's trying to play, he's probably less he was at Middlesbrough, for example. And I think sometimes you've got to get out of it. You've got to get out of it and go move away. And when Bishy's from the North East, he doesn't live there anymore. He's moved around the country, been at Barnet, been at Blackpool, been at Scunny, been at Notts County, been all around the country. You know what I mean? For me, the best decision I made in my career was move out. Did me some good in my personal life. It did me some good in my football life. It made me grow up. I had to cook for myself. I had to clean for myself. I had to do various things and be a normal person. And I think that's probably the thing that I'm trying to take comfort zone. You know what I mean? Because there's a big wide world out there, which is fun and interesting if you want to explore it.
No, spot
on. Neil, how did you get your chance in football? Did you get scouted? Was it like a natural thing? Were you really young, or were you quite late coming in?
Yeah, well, I was at Middlesbrough as a kid, and then obviously didn't get taken on the YDS and just went through the non-league scene and just worked my way up, basically step by step, at least from Sunday morning. and my mates at Roseway Social Club. And then I was playing, like I said, I was playing Sunday morning pub football still in my early 20s. I think I made my league debut at Barnet at 25. So it's a strange route. Obviously, it was back. There wasn't Conference North and South back then. It was Conference, what's now the National League. I think it was Unibond League, Northern Premier League. Literally just went step by step and into the Football League. Like I said, it's an unconventional route, but like certainly one I'd never change. Just for, like I said, the people you meet, the people I've lifelong friends I've come across. Like I said, I wouldn't change the way I got into football for anything.
And I think so that it makes, you know what I mean, people who were friends with him, people who know him through football, the clubs that he's played for, everybody. And one thing I've noticed over the last couple of days when we announced Bishy as a guest, that how many people saying good things about him, how many people saying he's a winner, how many people say he's our captain, he's this, he's that. You know what I mean? You don't get that if you're a bad player. You don't get that if you're consistent, or if you're inconsistent. Sorry. You know what I mean? And one question I want to put to you then, Bishy, is you said about coming through the non-league ranks. So what's the difference then between semi-pro and professional? Because obviously you can overnight, so to speak. You know what I mean? One day you were a semi-pro footballer, the next minute you were a professional footballer. So how did that feel for one, and what was the difference that you found straight away?
Well, it's obviously I was working for a window fitting company at the time, and obviously playing with Whitby and certain Spennymoor, Gateshead, you can race them all, play for them all. You can be going Manchester on a Tuesday night. You know, you're not getting back till 2, half 2, 3 in the morning. You're up 6 o'clock for work. So it tends to go obviously training once, maybe twice a week. Then going into full time, it's just a world of difference. You know, the way you got looked after, even at League Two, it was just a world of difference. Obviously, I wanted to do it. It was my decision to go play for Whitby, and then, like I said, then I get up at the crack of dawn. But you do that because you love playing and you love challenging yourself. Obviously, non-league, you get a few quid. It wasn't a battle of life. So at my age, it was almost sort of a big decision to go down to Barnet, because I was living with a lass at the time. I had a decent job and was picking up good money part time. So it was a tough decision. But you know, and then obviously moving to North London, I stayed in Potters Bar. Just a massive change. But like you say, one, probably you found it yourself when you move away. One, I had to grow up really quickly. Living on my own, so far away from home, found it difficult to start with. I was probably a bit homesick, but you learn to grow up, and you grow up really quickly. And like I say, football gave me that. It gave me that responsibility, it gave me that opportunity. So like I say, I'll always be grateful for the opportunities I've got. And like I say, it was just really changed my life. Going full time, and a decision I certainly never regretted.
Great shout. Was it a risk then, Bishy? Was it? Did you see it as a risk? You said you had a job. You were getting paid from football, and so did you see it as a risk? Did anyone do is it the right decision, or did you just think I need to give it a go for myself?
Yeah, I just thought if I don't have a bash financially, I was probably a little bit worse off to start with, because obviously I was getting decent, good money, good money playing part time and good money for my job. So going down to Barnet, it was only a year's contract initially as well. So if it didn't work out, you know, it was. But I just thought, and I had a house, I had a mortgage. I was living in Stockton. I just thought I won't be able to live myself. I have to give it a go. And if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I haven't been good enough. And I suppose that little bit of risk as well forced me to not. I would have given my all anyway, but probably just, you know, give me that extra edge. I thought, right, I've got something to prove here. I've had all these years in non-league, and I've moved away from home. I've got to make this work, and you know, I'm going to really push me, but I'm going to get everything I've got to make it work.
I love that side. You know, it's like we spoke, haven't we? You know what I mean? I think this Royal Rovers thing that everyone thinks that footballers play football till they're 35, 36, 37, 38. You don't have to work again. Don't have any worries in the world. It's not a risk. It's the best job in the world. You turn up at 10 o'clock in the morning, you're going home at 12. Listen, it's the best job. I call it a job. It's the best hobby stroke job in the world when you're doing it. It has its ups and downs. It's like a roller coaster. You know what I mean? There's not one day the same, which is just an amazing thing. Every day is a risk. Every day is a risk when you put your body on the line. You're one injury away from your career being done and dusted. That's at the start or at the end. For health and fitness and mental health reasons. And like Bishop said there, you know what I mean? Like to go and be worse off financially than you were as a semi-professional footballer is is quite a big thing, you know. That I think people think that risk, that every footballer is well paid. You know what I mean? Footballer you do get well paid, but it's well to the hours that you do. You know what I mean? So that's probably the point that people don't expect. You know what I mean? And don't think. You know what I mean? You don't get much time off, which is understandable. You know what I mean? You get the summer off, but then the season starts again, and you expect it to tick over. But for me, worth taking, because you know what I mean. I know some players who were far better footballers than I ever was. I could ever dreamed of being, but they never took that risk of when they got released by Middlesbrough. They never went and travelled away because they were happy just to stay at home, look at another path. 40, 41, 42, 43. In 10 years' time, they'll look back and go, I just wish I'd have seen it. If I could give it a go. If I could have emulated and copied what someone else done, because they know and I know they were better footballers than me. But I had a drive, I had a determination, what the world had and what the country had, and see where I could go. Because you know what I mean. Hard work sometimes outlays ability. You know what I mean. And I'm probably an example of that. And determination. But I just think. I just think it's fantastic that story that Bishy tells about that it's a risk, because it was a risk what paid off. You know what I mean? Which is a fantastic achievement, mate. So you should be proud of it.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Like, we got some really some good questions actually in the live chat, so I'm going to go back to them now, because a couple of them coincide with what you were just talking about as well. Rob Boyle wants to know, because he's nosy, I'm assuming. He says, what was the job that paid you so well?
Well, I was window fitting. I wouldn't say it was massive money, but it was decent. You know, I had a partner I was living with who was earning the wage, and like I say, I won't go into details, but I was getting really good money. And you get, obviously back then it was just a brown envelope for your part-time football, so there was no tax, no nothing. I was basically living off my part-time football wage, and I was banking. I was barely touching what I was getting off my job, so it was good. Like I say, it was a risk.
And then Leslie he's asked a couple of questions. So he asks Neil, are you any relation to a goalkeeper who played in the lower leagues many years ago from Park End, Middlesbrough? He was a goalkeeper. I'm assuming he was a bishop also, but he says, are you any relation?
I don't think so, mate. I don't think so. I think I know you're on about, but I
know you're on about. He played for Barrow as well, didn't he? I'm sure he played for Barrow.
Yeah, he did, mate. Yeah. No, same surname, but no relation.
Yeah. And Leslie also asks, he's asked a few times, but we were talking about something else. He asked about, he said, ask Andy, who is the current champions of England? He said Andy thinks it's Man City, but it is going to
be this year. It's not. Liverpool won the league last year. There's no current champions this year. This year is going to be decided in the next 2 weeks, because Man City are going to win the time, or 1 week's time, wherever it may be. Same as last year. He's trying to be. He thinks he's got one on me, but he hasn't. He's trying his best. Well done, Leslie.
Gaz says keep still, so I'm struggling to sit still. It's my back's hurting, so I'm moving around like a jack in a box. Gavin says, who's the best player Neil has ever played with?
It's a tough question. I'm trying to think. Obviously, Sol Campbell come to Notts County. I know he wasn't great for the time he was there, but obviously you can't argue what he'd done. Barry Ferguson, Ricardo Fuller, Tom Ince was really good. But I know he's petered out a bit. Really good when I played with him. It's a tough one. They're just the ones that come to mind.
Some good names there, though. Some really good names there. You know, we do a championship show on a Friday. Obviously, Tom's name gets mentioned all the time because he's probably missed a championship that he's played at that level for so long and been so successful. It annoys me when he gets so much stick, because I know now he's gone to Luton on loan from Stoke, but Stoke is struggling that much. He should be going in that team and just be able to run games. You know what I mean? Given the ball, he can make things happen. You know what I mean? And I bet he must have been a dream to play when he was a younger player, because to have that experience as well of your dad being a player. You know what I mean, at the level that his dad played at, and the experience that he can pass to him along. He must have been a dream to play with.
Yeah, he was really good. We had a really good, hard working team at Blackpool, and he was sort of the X factor. He was the one who would go win his games. And like I say, he was technically and probably technically on the ball. He's probably the best, if I'm honest.
But you said there's something interesting there, Si, and we've touched on it on various shows about you giving the ball, he can make things happen, he can go and score goals. How on earth can he make things happen and go and score goals when he's sat on his backside? I just these have the opinions on players. Players have the opinions on managers, but you know what I mean. He's obviously fell out in terms of with football club at Stoke City, so he didn't play as much as he wanted to for probably the last 18 months. And yeah, you know what I mean. But that's probably sometimes no fault of their own. Players get frustrated when they don't play. I mean, it must be so frustrating because you know what I mean. I probably the longest I probably went was probably 4 to 6 weeks without playing, and that's hard work. You know what I mean. When you don't play for a club that you expect to play and you're getting paid decent money and the fans are probably giving you grief left, right and centre on social media, or you know what I mean, and people think you don't want to play. It's far from the case, you know what I mean, sometimes. You know what I mean, I think...
Do you reckon it's harder now, mate, where there's 3 games a week? So there's 3 games a week, meaning that technically, if you're a player, you're expecting to get, at the very least, rotated on for, 20 minutes here and there because there's so many games. So if you aren't playing at all, the frustration's going to come through quicker, do you think?
I think the frustration for him potentially would be even worse when he's plays for a team who's not doing very well and getting beat. So you expect that rotation. So when you're playing in a team who's not scoring goals, you're playing in a team who's losing games, you're still not getting rotated. So when do you get your chance? You know what I mean? And then you're probably showing your frustration in training, which then the manager's noticing and you're thinking, well, he's a bad egg, or you know what I mean, or whatever. You know, I'm just presumptuous. So I just think it's so far from the truth sometimes, and players don't have that platform to tell people. You know, they go to social media to say that they want to play, and sometimes that comes out a little bit either arrogant or wrong. You know what I mean? And social media can be the worst thing that you can sometimes use as a footballer. We've said this. I'm so glad it wasn't there when I played and things, because you can get yourself into a little bit of trouble. But yeah, I feel sorry for him because you know what I mean. Bishop says there about him being a top player. I still want to see him play, and I still want to be excited by players like him and see him again. So yeah, it's nice to hear good things about him.
Neil, Andrew Williamson asks, how close were you to coming to Hartlepool?
Yeah, I was a few times, to be honest. I've obviously got probably 3, maybe even 4 times. Certainly spoke to him. Even as recently as like when I retired, I think I had a conversation about going there, but it was in my mind. I was going into coaching and didn't want to stay in full-time footballs. But yeah, I'd love to play for Hartlepool. I always loved playing there. Again, North East club, passionate fan base. It's probably a shame, probably not a regret, but you know, I look back on it and say I wouldn't have minded playing there. I know having a great season. Mate, man, Luke Williams is there, great player. And hopefully, I know we spoke about the National League, it's a tough division, but hopefully they'll be up there with a shout this year.
They've gone down a different route this year, Bishy, haven't they? They've obviously got Luke Williams, like you say. They've got Lids is there. They've got a manager who's probably realised that he needs some local lads in who've got a little bit of heart, a little bit of desire, a little bit of bite in the level where they're at, because they went through probably 3, 4, 5 seasons where they're just paying players money who didn't really want to be there. You know what I mean? And no disrespect to those players, they're just employees. But now they've got a bunch of players who are from the North East, and they realise what it takes to be a player in the North East, that the fans care, and the players look like they care for once. And I think Charlie, the manager, Dave Challoner, ex-Tranmere, he's doing a really good job, and I hope they can get over that line. It's going to be tough because there's some huge football clubs who are fighting for that holy grail, but it's going to be an interest at the least.
Yeah, fingers crossed for them.
100%. Andrew also, he said there's players in the Northern League getting paid more with a job and playing part-time that could probably play at League One level. Is that a fair statement, do you think, both?
Yes, I think, and I think this is a problem Hartlepool United have had. For example, Hartlepool have been in the National League, in the conference, whatever you want to call it, and they haven't been able to pay players the same as, let's say, South Shields, who's non-league side. I think they're due to go full time this year. They've been able to pay lads a hell of a lot of money to play part time, more than I've known some professional clubs play, and those lads have jobs as well. So those kind of players probably won't go full time with South Shields because of a club and doing the same thing again. And it's such a frustration because how do Hartlepool get the best players in the area if they can't pay the lads that kind of money? And it's a bigger risk because they can only give that, like Bishy said, they can only give that 1 year contract, 2 year at the most. You know what I mean? So unless you've been and you haven't got a job, then it's not a risk. But if you've got a job, you've got to give up a 30, 40, 50 grand a year job on top of your football money to sign less money. It's a big risk at a certain time in your life for a 1 year. It's too much. I fully understand why people don't do it. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? I know I've said earlier on that it's people might regret, but I'm on about 18, 19-year-old kids regretting. Not if you're 24, 25, 29. You know what I mean? That for me, it's not a regret. I know a lot of players and he's called Graham Armstrong. He's a teacher. Graham's probably he's probably the best goal scorer in the North East. He's played for Gateshead. I think he's playing for Hebden Town at the minute. He's going to Wembley in a couple of weeks in the Vars. He's had numerous opportunities to go and play full footballer, but never give his job up. He can't. He's got a family. He's got bills. He's got kids. He's got a life after football.
Once you've got kids and a mortgage,
your life changes.
Very,
changes.
very
you can't
different,
afford to do it.
It's difficult.
Totally
interesting
agree.
question.
Totally
This one, Neil. Craig says, "What was it like to play for a club like Notts County with some really big history, but then they dropped down the divisions?"
Oh yeah, it was outstanding. Look, the time out there was really brilliant. Probably one of the best times of my career. 4 years there, captain them. Obviously the FA Cup runs, going to Juventus to open their new stadium. Obviously the connection there is a kit. So obviously once they moved to their new stadium,
steal it? Someone just said they stole the kit design.
Yeah, I think I don't know how it was, but the Notts County gave them a kit or something for back in whenever they formed. And that's a connection. So obviously, when they opened the new stadium, we got invited across. I was fortunate enough to be captain. It was unbelievable, really something you don't expect for a League One club to get the opportunity to do. But yeah, like I say, another thing I'm really, really grateful that I've had the opportunity to do. And yeah, it's a shame to see them in the conference, in the National League now. I keep calling it the conference, National League now. We were pushing for the playoffs in League One when I left and moved on, and to see him there now is disappointing. But you know they've got new foreign owners in, and they seem to be going back on the right way. Hopefully they can get back in the Football League sooner rather than later.
If people don't follow Bishy, if people. It's great, isn't it? I don't know if people do follow. If you don't follow him, check him out. Check his social media out and check his photos out, because the photo with Bishy with Del Piero, for me, it says it all. You know what I mean about
beautiful an
occasion. You know what I mean. Those kind of moments. You know what I mean, for a player doesn't happen.
Did you get his shirt, Neil?
Those opportunities. Yeah, I got his shirt. I got his shirt because we played on the Thursday night, being an exhibition game, and we had a game on the Saturday. So Martin Allen just obviously said, look, you start, and he changed the team around in 45 minutes, and I come off, and as I was going down the tunnel, obviously when I asked him, I was fortunate enough to be captain, so I went up and done the coin toss, and I made sure I asked him. He somehow understood me with my dodgy English, but seaside accent. But I got the message across, and he took mine. To be fair, I don't know what you done with mine. Probably shot it straight in the bin. I've got his, mate. It's in my front room. It's framed and it's up on the wall.
Wicked. And Cade asks there. He said, "What's the best shirt in your collection that you've swapped with someone? Is that the best one?"
That's it. Yeah,
that can't be beat.
I've got two. Yeah. No, I've got two Rays. Yaya's from when we played Man City. I've got a few others in my collection, but it's unbeatable, that one.
That's it. And the thing is, it's just an unbelievable opportunity, isn't it? You know what I mean? That would be a regret if you're starting the game with the captain of Juventus and you don't offer to swap shirts at that moment. You know what I mean? Because that would be a regret, wouldn't it? Because obviously with him playing at a different end of the pitch and other people have got that 45-minute or window to just ask, can I have your shirt? Can I have your shirt? Can I have your shirt? And it's just no one can ever take it away. No one can ever take it off you, and it's something that you should keep hold of forever. Makes it's an unbelievable achievement. Unbelievable. You mentioned there, Bishy, about about Yaya Toure. So obviously that goes on nicely to the FA Cup game against Man City at home at Notts County. Talk us through the goal, because you know what I mean. I remember watching the game, and I was so proud. You know, I didn't expect you to score from a corner, by the way, but I'm so proud that when you scored your goal, that to clash and to see all the North East players do well. But tell everybody how that felt, how it came around, and how the game ended up.
Yeah, well, obviously FA Cup game. I think we were League One at the time, struggling. Obviously, Man City, Mancini was manager. They had all the big hitters out. They all played that day, and I think we full house Meadow Lane. It was absolutely bouncing, great atmosphere. I think I was meant to go around I don't even think I was meant to be there, to be honest. I think I was meant to go around the back post. I remember I probably hadn't been listening to set players, and I just made a run across the front post. And like I said, the feeling when the ball hit the net was just something special, something I'll never forget. Like a bit surreal, really. Obviously I've got the head to it, and I've not really seen it going. I heard the noise, and the noise was definite. Like I said, Meadow Lane, full house, just really good. But you know, people always say, "Oh, is that a career highlight?" And again, probably being me, it would have been if we'd have won the game. You know, I prefer we beat Sunderland in the FA Cup with Notts County, and obviously me being a Borough fan, I can't stand Sunderland. I'd say that was meant more to me than the goal, actually. Because if it had been a winning goal and we'd have won the game, then that'd have been the thing. But because we drew, it not as special. But you know what I mean. You play football to win, not to score a goal. Like, you know what I mean. It's all about the team and about winning. And we beat Sunderland again with Notts County, really good up there, beat them.
Look, he's just broken up a bit.
He'll come back on. And do you know what? And just that statement alone there, what he was saying there, everybody, his mentality is just being explained in that sentence. You know what I mean? That he's just scored a goal against Man City, and it's not his career highlight because he lost the game. To a man, that mentality that it's all about the team. It's not about the individuals. It's about somebody who wants to win a football match. You know what I mean? And for me, it's a great mentality to have, because you know what I mean. Strikers can be selfish. Everyone knows footballers can be selfish. Footballers who aren't selfish, and I think we've just heard one who's very unselfish and puts the team well before his own merits, really, which is fantastic.
100%, mate. 100%, and they're the players which win you league titles, like he did with Notts County and stuff like that.
It's about being consistent. It's about being consistent, Si. And would you rather have a player who can be 10 one week and 6 the next out of 10, or would you rather have somebody who's 7 and 8 every single week? Fans would relate to those players who will be 7 and 8 every week. They'll never be a 10 because they haven't got the ability to be a 10. And I'm not being disrespectful. You know what I mean? I was sometimes a 10, but then I was sometimes a 4. You know what I mean? Because I had some really bad games. But I think it's the inconsistency where
that's the criticism with Pogba, isn't it?
Well, yeah, but I'd rather be that consistent, that 7, 8 out of 10, week in, week out, game in, game out. Managers will be. You're the first on the manager's team sheet, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, 100%, mate. I completely agree with you, and I think that, like I just said, that's the criticism with Pogba, is he might be like an 8 or a 9 or a 10, but then he'll have 3 6s, and then he'll be a 10 or a 9 again, and then he'll be 3 4 6s, which is great when you get that 9 and 10, and they change the game for you when you're 2-0 down or whatever it may be, but it's no good to you when you're struggling against the lower teams and that player is a 6. Do you know what I mean? They're the players who drag you. They're the players who win you titles, mate. Like, dare I say it, Jordan Henderson, because he's constantly a 7 or an 8 for his ability. So he drags, because gives you 40 games or 38 games of 7 out of 10.
Craig Sullivan in the group chat. Can't believe South Wales Echo, whatever. Believe me, my good friend Terry Phillips used to give me some really rascal. He used to give me some shocking ratings in the paper, and I told a story on here a few weeks ago about social media wasn't around. Me and Willie Boland used to drive to games, home games, away games. I remember there was an away game. I can't remember where we played, but it was local enough for us to drive back from wherever we were playing, and me in the car, we listened to the phone in, as you do. And
sorry lads, internet dropped out.
No, it's all right. Don't worry. And just couldn't believe how much stick that players were getting. I think I was getting, and I think Willie got as well. So we decided to ring up and vent out. You know what I mean? 'Cause that was the way that you could get your point across. You can't do that now. You know, you would. Yeah, you'd never do it. So it's just, no social media and stuff, which is great. But no worries all. One thing you're on about mentality. You said there about in not being a career highlight, and I just said to everybody there that just shows for me everything about you. That it's not about the individual; it's about the team, and fair play to you, because team's more important, which is just absolutely fantastic. I was on then. So what was then your career highlight in from starting to end? If you had to pick one,
again, it's. I talk about obviously the team and that is, but the personal one for me, I made my obviously I think I was 32. I mean 32 when I made my championship debut with Blackpool, and obviously that's late, innit? It's really late. People don't usually get the opportunity. I thought that the time to play at them levels had really passed me by. So to get that opportunity that late was unbelievable, unbelievable. It was obviously Paul Lynch was manager. He'd known me from Notts County, got along really well with Incy. Yeah. Respected him. Obviously, he's played for the biggest clubs in the world, captain his country. If he said jump, I'd say how high. Everyone's got an opinion of him. He can come across as arrogant. Yeah. Look for what he's done in the game. Like I say, I was just in awe of him, to be honest. And like I say, he probably a midfielder. He helped me massively. Like I say, we talk about learning and constantly learning. And even in my 30s, I think I was becoming a better player because I was taking stuff in. I was playing with better players. It's like we talk about Newport, and sometimes with all the respect in the world, it's hard to go. Motivation, it's windy, it's rainy, there's 4,000 people, the pitch is terrible. You go into the championship, every away games, 25, 30,000 people in beautiful stadiums, beautiful pitches, and packed houses. Driving the ground. You see all the supporters, obviously at Blackpool, it's so vivid, that tangerine colour. It felt like, yeah, this is it. This is really big. And as luck would have it, well, maybe a bit of fate. And my full debut was at Middlesbrough. Was at Middlesbrough. Third game of the season. Tony Mowbray was in charge.
Quality.
And it was just brilliant. So for me, like I say, my championship debut at that team I'd supported all my life was something I could only dream of. And like I say, it's just I'm really thankful and really privileged that happened. Like I say, friends and family were there. And we drew as well, 1-1, so it was probably the best result all round. Although I think we should have won. Middlesbrough equalised late doors. But like I say, that for me will take some beating. Memory I'll probably hold here above any other, to be honest.
Well, I've got my own opinion on the question 4, but I'm going to ask it to you because it's obviously personal to you. But do you think you deserve the opportunity in the championship?
Obviously, I'm going to say yeah, and I certainly would.
Do you think then it should have come earlier?
Maybe so. Look, I when I was at Notts County, I had a chance when Cloughie was in charge of Derby to go there. They're coming for me and another lad called Ben Davies in January, and again maybe a bit too loyal. Forest were interested at one point when I was at Notts County, and I never really pushed it because I was always happy. And to be fair, once the interest come, Notts County always rewarded me with a new deal because obviously we were in League One and we were pushing to get to the championship at the time, and it was always sort of in the back of my mind that it would maybe mean more to me to go to the championship if I went up with the club, if you get what I mean, that we took the whole club with us rather than going to a team. I don't know if, again, I don't believe in regrets. You live and you learn, so I wouldn't say it's a regret, but looking back, would I have done things differently to get that level and spend longer there. Maybe so, yeah, maybe so. And then obviously I only had the one season at Blackpool because obviously we spoke about the chairman, he'd sacked the manager, Barry Ferguson coming caretaker. It didn't work out, he left, and the chairman wanted to keep me. He let everyone go, and there was about 4 or 5 was he wanted to keep, but you could see what was happening, you could see what was coming, and it was a season that got relegated, and it was like you could see the iceberg coming, you know what I mean, the way the club was being run. They were cost cutting all over the place, and it was Scunthorpe offered me a really good deal in League One. I think they offered me a 3-year contract at 32, and again, I had my little boy by then. So, like you said, that it's a game changer, isn't it, when you have kids and that stability and that. So it made me mind up for me, and like I said, for, one season in the Championship, I'm just grateful I got to play there, to be honest. But like I say, when I look back, maybe I would have done things a bit differently, and took the opportunity to go play that level sooner.
I'm so proud that you got the opportunity. I'm so proud that you got your chance, because my answer to my own question there was that you deserved the opportunity. Circumstances sometimes that you didn't. I obviously didn't know the opportunities that were potentially there, which could have done it. But like you say, sometimes that you think things are going to happen in that club. You know what I mean? That when I signed for Cardiff, I bought into we're going to be a Premier League team in 2 years. You know what I mean? So you get promoted out of it again, and sometimes I wouldn't say you outstay your welcome, but you stay an extra year when you probably could have left the year before, and it's probably the right time to move. It's about timing wise, you know what I mean? It's perfect timing for the club sometimes, but perfect timing for a player to leave as well. You know what I mean? And it's just timing's everything. And we were on about Harry Kane earlier on. You know what I mean? It happens to us all. You sometimes miss that boat of that transfer at the right time, pivotal time. And that's just football, absolutely football. But I've just spoke there about your career highlight. Last question for me before we finish off with some questions from the. What's the Neil Bishop career aspiration? Then now he's out of the game playing wise. So what's the dream just within the football?
Well, like I said, I've always seen myself going to coaching, mate. It's something I'm passionate about. So like I say, I've come up in an unusual way for myself and see what can happen to youngsters, get a bit disheartened. I think a lot of coaching now is how you talk to people, management, encouraging people, and it's something I'm really passionate about. Like I say, I'm still new. It's strange to be new to a profession, looking at a new career, really, approaching my 40th birthday. It's madness. Like I say, people talk about football. It's in a league of its own, really, for that. Like I say, you're a novice at 40. But I'm enjoying it. I'm working at Mansfield. I was fortunate enough when I signed there. It was spoken about at the time that I'd go into the academy side a bit afterwards. And like I said, I've got maybe 1 or 2 things coming up related to that. But hopefully they'll sort themselves out in the next couple of months. But now, Cammy, same as a player, mate, I want to go as high and as far as I can on the coaching side, whether it's with the academies that I see myself with, eventually going into men's team, because that's where I want to get to. A manager, somewhere down the line. But like I said, I know again I've got to put the hard yards in. But again, I want to get as far in this career, or hopefully a little bit further than I did in my playing career.
Well, absolutely fantastic. And honestly, I hope it all works out, because one thing that I knew anyway, but listening to what you've been saying is how dedicated you are to hard work, how not scared you are of putting the work in and getting the knockbacks and putting the effort in and being that person who goes above and beyond. So, you know what I mean, from me, that's my final question there, and more for me. So really appreciate that. Great stuff.
Cheers, pal.
I like Kate's question, Si, by the way.
I'm going to get to that now. So I'm going to pick 2 from the live chat. So to finish us off quickly, there was one about Martin Allen, which I wanted to go to, and I can't find it. But someone asked Andrew asked, what was Martin Allen like as a manager?
Oh, well, obviously we've seen some of it, everyone to know the stories, but again, I liked him. I thought there was he's obviously mad. He's mad as an actor, but I think there's method behind his madness. I do. I think everything he does, there is a reason for it, and you've got to look deep into it sometimes to work out what that is. But there is a reason. I think he's a short-term manager, because I think he's pretty much shock and awe in his tactics and how he does stuff. I think you can see that he goes in and he has immediate effect. I think Barnet have hired him about 5 times to save him from relegation. And he's
they have, yeah.
He's always done it. Whether he'll come back in the game now, I don't know. But look, again, like I said, I said earlier, I was fortunate enough to get along with all my managers. And Martin Allen was someone I really liked and respected, obviously, from his playing career. I love the guy, and like I say, it's a shame he never got longer at Notts County, because I thought he should have done.
100%. And then last question. K Childs says, "You've still got the Borough accent, Neil. Do you miss the Teesside Palmo?"
Oh, mate. What a dish. I tell you what, and this is God's honest truth, I made one the other night. My missus made me one.
I seen it on social media. Unbelievable. We'll all hot shot Palmo.
It is funny, I've got the accent. I've been away from home for nearly 15 years now. I'm proud of my accent, you know. It's something I hope I never lose. And like I say, apart from my family, that's high up on the list, like the Palmo, or Borges Palmo, what a restaurant that is. If you're ever in Stockton, try it out.
Sar's going to come down. Yeah, Sar's going to come down. I'm going to fatten him up. Yeah.
No, mate. I don't think I can eat any more than I already eat at the moment. Chocolate and crap. Lockdown has been
Great way to finish that question. I love that question.
Absolutely.
Put a smile on his face.
Good stuff.
Really appreciate your time, though, Bishy. It's been amazing. Great show.
No, it's been a pleasure, lads. Thanks very much for having me.
Indeed. Yeah, Neil, thank you for your time, mate. And thank you to everyone who's watched, tuned in, and asked questions, left comments, of course, shared the show and all that good stuff. And, of course, all the people who listen and watch afterwards and download it. Big thank you to you all. Subscribe, youtube.com/Ace Podcast Nation. And we'll be back on Friday for the championship show. Danny Batten fight show Wednesday with former UFC star Rhys McKee, which was a really interesting show. He had plenty to say because he was stitched up a little bit by the UFC, so he had a few things to say, which was good. Super Kevin Scripted is back on Friday, and another episode of My Story on Sunday featuring ex-Cardiff City and Wales international David Giles, which is another good one. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to Neil. Thank you to Andy. Another fun experience to take my mind off the shambles that was Cardiff City. Good night.